What if Ryomen Sukuna chose Yuta Okatsu instead of Yuji Itadori? Now this changes everything because Yuta has way more cursed energy and way more potential, so Sukuna and his body would be way more dangerous. But Yuta is not a perfect vessel like Yuji, so he cannot fully hold Sukuna back. Now in Jujutsu Kaisen 0, the start stays the same. Yuta is still getting bullied, still cursed by Rika, and Satoru Gojo still takes him in and trains him. So nothing changes yet. Yuta learns how to fight with Rika and slowly gains control while still being scared of his own power. The change happens during the night parade when Suguru Geto attacks and everything starts going bad. Yuta is already fighting and trying to protect his friends, but he is getting pushed harder than before because now there are more curses and more pressure on him to actually win. During the attack, a Sukuna finger that was being guarded gets exposed in the destruction either from a broken barrier or a curse breaking into storage, and it ends up near Yuta in the middle of the fight. He sees it and remembers what cursed objects can do, and in that moment he is desperate. He just wants enough power to protect everyone, so instead of thinking it through, he grabs it and eats it. The moment he eats it, Sukuna awakens inside him, but instead of instantly taking over, Sukuna realizes what he is inside of Yuta has insane cursed energy, and Rika is already a broken ability. So Sukuna understands this body is worth more than just control and decides to wait and test him instead of rushing. So now Sukuna stays in the background watching, learning how Yuta fights, how his cursed energy flows, and how Rika connects to him, waiting for the perfect moment to take full control if needed. Now the fight becomes way more unstable. Yuta is still fighting Geto and protecting his friends, but Sukuna is always there in the background, interfering slightly whenever Yuta starts to lose control, pushing him further without fully taking over. At the same time, Sukuna's cursed energy starts leaking into Yuta and mixing with his own. This amplifies Yuta's already massive reserves, making his attacks stronger, faster, and more dangerous, but also harder to control. Because it is not just his power anymore, Yuta starts having moments where his speed and strength spike way higher than before, catching Geto off guard, because now he is dealing with both Rika and Sukuna's influence at the same time. In the final clash, Yuta is pushed to his limit and chooses to protect his friends just like before, but now, instead of a clean power up, it is unstable. His power surges from both Rika and Sukuna at once, and his attacks become overwhelming. Geto cannot handle that level of output and gets defeated, but the fight feels way more dangerous because at any moment, Sukuna could have taken over if Yuta slipped. By the end, Yuta still saves everyone, but now the outcome is way different. Instead of just being known as the sorcerer with Rika, he is now Sukuna's vessel too. And unlike Yuji, he cannot fully suppress him, which means going forward, every fight has the risk of Sukuna stepping in, making this timeline way more dangerous from here. Now we start with the introduction arc, and this mostly stays the same. Yuji Itadori still eats a Sukuna finger and becomes the vessel of Ryomen Sukuna, since there are multiple fingers and multiple vessels can exist at the same time, so nothing really changes there, and Yuji still joins Jujutsu High and moves forward like normal. Then we move into the Cursed Womb arc, and everything still plays out the same. Yuji and the others go on the mission, the special grade curse is too strong, Sukuna still comes out, destroys it easily, and makes the binding vow with Yuji, so nothing changes there either. Then going into the Mahito arc, everything happens the exact same, nothing changes at all. Mahito still fights Yuji, and the story continues normally, and the Kyoto Goodwill event arc also stays the same since Yuji is not affecting anything here in this timeline. So all the fights and events play out like normal, and the death painting arc also stays the same. For the same reason, nothing is affected, so everything plays out like it originally did. And then we get to Shibuya where everything still starts the same, with the plan to seal Satoru Gojo and all the setup going exactly how it did before, but this is where everything starts changing around. Now after the Shibuya arc, everything starts changing, and this is where things really go off the rails, because Yuta Okotsu is now coming after Yuji Itadori. But this time Ryomen Sukuna is not just sitting back. Sukuna sees the situation and realizes Yuta's body has way higher potential and way more cursed energy. So instead of waiting, he uses his binding vow and forces control. Sukuna transfers everything into Yuta and fully takes over his body. This is not partial control, this is full control. Now he has access to Yuta's insane cursed energy and Rika on top of his own power, which makes him way more dangerous than he ever was in Yuji. Once Sukuna takes over, he goes on a rampage just like Shibuya, but this time it is worse because his output is higher and his body can handle more. He starts overwhelming everyone in his path, and when he faces Yuji, it is completely one-sided. Yuji cannot keep up and almost gets killed. Sukuna also starts noticing Megumi Fushiguro and his potential, but this time he is not desperate to switch because Yuta's body already gives him everything he needs, so he stays in Yuta and keeps pushing forward. Now the entire entire situation flips. Instead of hunting Yuji, they are now trying to stop Sukuna in Yuta's body, and nobody is really ready for that level of power, which sets up an even more dangerous path going into the next arc. Now we move into the perfect preparation arc, and everything is already different because Ryomen Sukuna is fully in control of Yuta Okatsu, so the focus shifts away from Yuji Itadori, and onto stopping Sukuna in this new body. The higher-ups and sorcerers are no longer worried about execution orders. They are trying to figure out how to deal with Sukuna, who now has way more cursed energy and access to Rika, which makes him far more dangerous than before. At the same time, Meki Zenin still goes through her arc with the Zenin clan and wipes them out. Now we move into the culling game arc, and a lot of this still plays out similar at the start. The colonies are formed, sorcerers are forced to enter and survive, and the rules of the game still apply, so most of the early fights and moments still happen. Like, normal characters are still trying to gain points, survive, and figure out the system. But the biggest difference is Ryomen Sukuna is already in full control of Yuta Okatsu, so he is not waiting for a perfect moment or planning to switch bodies like he did with Megumi Fushiguro, so Megumi never gets taken over and stays himself the entire time, which already removes one of the biggest turning points of the original story. Sukuna does not follow the game at all. He treats the colonies like his own hunting ground. Whenever he senses one of his fingers, he moves straight toward it, killing anyone in the way and eating it right after each finger increases his cursed energy output. And because Yuta already has massive cursed energy, the boost stacks even higher, making Sukuna stronger at a faster rate than before. And as he keeps doing this, he gets closer and closer to his full power, while also learning how to fully use Yuta's body and Rika together. The colonies start breaking down faster. Because of him, players that were supposed to have big fights or important moments either get wiped out early or avoid entire areas. Just because Sukuna is there, the tension of the arc shifts from survival and strategy to pure fear of running into Sukuna, because nobody in the game can actually stop him at this point. At the same time, Yuji Itadori is still moving through the colonies and fighting like normal, but his role changes. He is no longer the vessel trying to keep Sukuna contained. Now he is trying to catch up in power and find a way to fight back, because he already saw how strong Sukuna is in Yuta's body and knows he cannot win in a direct fight yet. So his fights become more about growth and survival while he looks for any advantage. Other sorcerers are still active inside the colonies and still get their fights and moments, but most of them are happening while avoiding Sukuna or reacting to what he is doing, because every time Sukuna moves through a colony, the balance shifts and more players get taken out, which speeds up the entire game. Sukuna continues stacking fingers throughout the arc, and with each one, his control over Yuta's body gets better. His attacks get sharper, and his output keeps rising, and instead of struggling with the body like before, he starts fully syncing with it, using both his own techniques and Yuta's cursed energy at the same time, which makes him even more dangerous as the arc keeps going. And by the later part of the arc, Sukuna has collected 19 fingers and is basically near full power, with only one finger left hidden away by Satoru Gojo, while Sukuna now fully understands how to use Yuta's abilities and cursed energy together at a high level. At the same time, the plan to unseal Gojo still happens. Angel is still involved, and Gojo does get unsealed, which brings him back into the story, while Megumi is still himself in this timeline since he was never taken over and stays a key fighter instead of being removed from the story. Now we move into the Shinjuku showdown arc, and this is where everything finally comes together, because Satoru Gojo is back, and now he has to face Ryomen Sukuna, who is in Yuta's body with 19 fingers and full control over his cursed energy. And Rika, this fight starts off with both of them testing each other, but the biggest difference is Sukuna does not have the 10 shadows, so he has no real way around infinity. Gojo controls the pace of the fight from the start. Sukuna is still extremely strong because of Yuta's body and his own power, but he cannot fully break through Gojo's defense. Sukuna tries using everything he has, including Rika and high output attacks, but Gojo keeps avoiding damage and landing hits back consistently. As the fight goes on, it slowly leans toward Gojo. Sukuna starts losing ground because he cannot find a true counter, and Gojo keeps stacking damage over time until he finally overwhelms him and wins by forcing Sukuna into a losing position and finishing him with a full power attack that his body cannot keep up with. After that, Gojo focuses on saving Yuta. Instead of letting him die, he uses his control over cursed energy and precise attacks to separate Sukuna from Yuta's body, basically forcing Sukuna out while keeping Yuta alive. But the process is not clean. Yuta takes heavy damage to his brain from Sukuna's control and the strain of all that power being used through him. Sukuna is left without a vessel and is finished for good, which means Kashimo never gets his fight, and Yuji is completely free from Sukuna and no longer has to carry that burden. After the fight, Gojo goes after Kenjaku himself, instead of sending Yuta, and takes him out, ending his plan completely. While the rest of the cast survives, Angel is still alive, Higuruma is still alive, Megumi never gets taken over, so he avoids the damage he had in the original timeline, while Yuta is the one who ends up with brain damage from everything that happened, and the world moves forward with most of the main cast alive and in a much better position than before. Hope you guys liked this video. Make sure to like and subscribe and watch this 1-hour compilation of all my JJK what ifs.